Welcome to our channel and thank you for tuning in. Today, I will share with you the story of the 12 Titanic survivors. But before we go into that, please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the notification button so that we will notify you anytime we upload a new video. The defining moment was a single night. The Titanic's fatal night of April 14, 1912, is engraved in our memories more than a century after it fell into the icy waters of the North Atlantic Ocean after colliding with an iceberg. We mourn the more than 1,500 people who lost their lives, including titans like Benjamin Guggenheim, John Jacob Astor IV, and Isidor and Ida Strauss, proprietors of Macy's. What about the 706 individuals who were fortunate enough to board lifeboats and then travel to safety on board the Carpathia? Others earned recognition in their survivor status or rose to the position of heroes. For some, the traumatizing recollections of the disaster cast a shadow over the remainder of their life. There are no longer any survivors. Milvina Dean, the final survivor, who was only 2 months old when the tragedy occurred, passed away in 2009 at the age of 97. The fortunate few who made it through the unsinkable Titanic are remembered in the following photo. Margaret Brown, the most well-known Titanic survivor and new money socialite and philanthropist, earned the title the Unsinkable Molly Brown. She was the subject of a Broadway musical and a Debbie Reynolds starring movie. She assisted with the evacuation efforts on the night of the sinking before boarding Lifeboat 6. As in the 1997 movie Titanic, Brown begged the boat's crewmen to return for more passengers, but her requests were ignored. Brown assisted the other survivors once they arrived on the Carpathia by distributing food and blankets, forming a survivors committee, and soliciting money for those who had lost everything. She had become well known by the time the ship arrived in New York thanks to word of her unselfish deeds. She later wrote to her daughter, "After being brined, salted, and pickled in mid-ocean, I am now high and dry. I have received so many flowers, notes, telegrams, and individuals that I am confused. They are requesting that Congress award me a medal. Because I hold the title of Titanic heroine, I may need to consult a specialist to have my head examined." Brown, though, made sure to not let stardom get to her head. She campaigned for Congress, continued to advocate for causes including women's suffrage and workers' rights, and helped with World War I relief efforts in France, earning her the French Legion of Honor. Before passing away in 1932 at the age of 65, she had also dabbled in acting. Here's why the Titanic continues to captivate us today. Astor, Madeline. Madeline Astor, a bride, was involved in a scandal when she boarded the Titanic. When she was 18, John Jacob J.J. Astor, who had recently gone through a divorce, proposed to her. Madeline got pregnant when the couple was on a lengthy honeymoon abroad, so they decided to return home. Sadly, J.J. Astor would perish in the sinking. One publication at the time stated, she recalled, she thought, that in the commotion, as she was going to be thrown into one of the boats, Colonel Astor was standing by her side. After that, until the boats were well off of the sinking liner, she had no particularly vivid memory of the incidents. Although she gave birth to a healthy baby later that summer, the public's interest in her after the tragedy made life difficult. Reportedly, she was greatly inconvenienced by the curious. She didn't often speak about the Titanic, and a cloud seemed to hang over her life. As Astor's widow and the mother of his son, Madeline was entitled to a trust as long as she didn't remarry, but she did just that in 1916, then later divorced and remarried again. This time to an abusive Italian boxer. She died in 1940 when she was just 46 years old. Eva Hart, who was 7 years old when she and her family boarded the Titanic, was the last surviving survivor with clear memories of the incident before she passed away in 1996 at the age of 91. In a series of interesting televised interviews, Hart, who ultimately rose to the position of magistrate and was awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, shared her memories. She recalls how her mother physically pulled her father out of bed to force him to go up on deck to see what had occurred. When he returned, her parents swiftly and silently gathered their belongings to climb back up. I highly doubt I would be talking to you today if we hadn't taken that action at the time. It was a question of who was there in time to get into the all too few lifeboats. As her father put her in a boat and told her to hold her mother's hand, then it dawned on me that he wasn't coming, that I wouldn't see him anymore. She added that if there had been enough lifeboats, no one would have died that night at all. In a twist right out of 1997's Titanic, Hart's father gave her mother his coat, which had in its pocket the only known letter written on Titanic stationery the day of the sinking. Hart's mother had known as the Titanic orphans. Almost 4-year-old Michelle and 2-year-old Edmund Navratil were reportedly the only children rescued without a parent or guardian. Their father, who was separated from their French mother, had taken off with the children under a false name and set sail for America. He placed the children in the last lifeboat to depart, Collapsible D, but went down with the ship himself. After the brothers' picture was circulated in newspapers, their mother recognized them and went to America to collect them. Penned it earlier and intended to mail it to her own mother. Hart scrawled at the end of the letter, which went up for auction in 2014, "Heaps of love and kisses to all from Eva."